Welcome to Sing Out. Yes, it's a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and I am absolutely delighted because, I've been waiting holding my breath, waiting to have this amazing man of God on the show. And I'll tell you, it's not easy to get him because he's very, very busy. I have the amazing Muyiwa from River Songs. Muyiwa, thank you for making the time.
Well, thank you, Madeleine, for letting me on your show. I mean, it's the first
Well,
time you're ever inviting me onto your show. So,
no. You were on once before, but it was a little while ago. It was so far back that you've forgotten. But Muyiwa, Muyiwa is actually the director here, the head guy here at Premier Gospel. But there's a lot about Muyiwa that you may not know, things that may surprise you, and you might think, Muyiwa's got it easy. You know what? He's been on a journey, and I really want to go into a bit of that. But just to really get into the situation, we have a new single out, don't we? And it's actually called Jehovah the Medley with Becca Folks. Now, we're going to unpack a lot of stuff as we go along. So I'm actually going to start with that. So Muyiwa, before we go anywhere, could you just introduce that song and what's behind that song that you did with Becca Folks?
Yeah, so Jehovah Medley is a medley of songs. I mean, the whole album that's coming in January 2023 called Glory Songs they're all old songs. And actually, I was told I shouldn't call them old songs, they're legacy songs. So they're songs that we've sang in churches for decades, and so we've revived them and made them relevant for the millennials and Gen Zs. And so it's Jehovah Medley, a number of songs. Jehovah We Praise You, Alpha and Omega, which is one that I know you know and love way before it was popular, and the other songs in there, and Becca Folks, along with, the whole team, just a team of young people. Becca Folks was the lead on it. So it's some great worship songs that was spiced up by millennials and Gen Zs on the recording.
I'm really excited to hear this, Muyiwa, a millennial vamp. But before we go anywhere, I just want to go there because a lot of people see you very, very successful in all that you do. You're on Turning Point, you here at Premier Gospel, you've done so much. And I'm going to unpack some of the journey, but it didn't start that way. And I'm going to start from the point where I read about you being in Stamford Hill, arriving from Nigeria, and it was freezing.
And I tell you
And
what,
yeah, Stamford Hill is not the most greeny leafed place either. So, what was the experience like coming as a very young boy? You were coming to stay with your uncle. It was England what you thought it was going to be.
Thinking about it now, it's harrowing. You think, wow, those were it was quite often awful. And yes, it was cold, and it is cold now. And for me, it's even worse because I spent Thursday and Friday and Saturday out in Nigeria. So as we're talking on Sunday, I've had some sun in my body. But that I remember being told by my parents. I didn't know I was having to travel, and my parents told me. Let's say they told me on Thursday, tomorrow we're heading to another city. So I thought, oh, maybe going to visit someone. When I got to that city, I said, tomorrow you're getting on the plane to go to London. Like, oh, cool. I'm a 9-year-old. Oh, cool. Getting to London. Of course, you're like, wow, okay, cool. Yeah,
London. London is a beautiful place to go. Normally.
It's cool. My family travels, so it was cool. It was a new experience. This one, the cold hit me upside the head. It was bad, and then I got to my uncle's house. Now, my uncle was quite a wealthy man, and so my parents thought, okay, stop by him first before you carry on. And the words he said, which became a self-fulfilling prophecy, were, "Oh, so you've arrived. You are gonna suffer." And I thought, oh, I was taken aback because I'm like a 9-year-old listening to this. Why would he say that? But years later, I realized what he meant, because London was a tough place to come, and not having parental guidance around because of all that was going on. I mean, it's interesting that the same head of state that is head of state of Nigeria now was the head of state that was head of state when I left Nigeria, in the same sort of upheaval, which made my parents throw me out of Nigeria, which meant their lives were upside down. Their economy was shattered totally. It's the same thing that's going on now with the current head of state. So yeah, it was disruptive. It was
I mean,
harrowing.
can I ask you this? I mean, because a 9-year-old, they're not going to explain much to a 9-year-old. So did you feel a little bit abandoned in a way?
The feelings of abandonment didn't come until later. I was
Right.
a little in a bit. I mean, I was 9 years old. I was like, ooh, okay, that wasn't nice, but I didn't really understand the depths. It wasn't until maybe maybe like 6, 7 years later that it really kicked in, and I really had huge problems with feelings of being abandoned by my parents, especially my father. I had huge problems with thoughts around that, and that's where my scarf wearing comes from, because then I went back to the moment of me leaving the country and the conversations I had with my father, and a lot of that is represented by the scarves I wear.
You had quite a traumatic experience with both your parents along the journey as well, in the sense
Mhm,
that they're not here, you know.
mhm.
And I just want to really help people to understand, how did you get your inner strength? Because I want to say, you know, of all the people I've worked with, your determination and your vision is so strong. And coming from the background, so in other words, it wasn't easy, but somehow you got to a place where you said, I'm moving forward, and this is what I have to achieve.
I think it definitely is God. It's a God thing. It's a faith thing, I, without doubt. And that wasn't just um, something that I discovered myself. I think the beginnings of it was the faith that my parents introduced me to. My parents were Christians, and I remember being taught Bible verses, being taught to pray. Um, Even though for my parents, I think at a point it was just religious exercise. There wasn't a revelation of the Holy Spirit like that at that point. But the grounding was strong and effective enough for me. So when I got to this country, and I began to explore being in a church. Of course, I was going through the things I was going through, and then I stumbled into a Pentecostal church where Les Isaacs was my pastor. Well, he was the youth leader then, and and that introduced me to a level of a revelation of a relationship with Jesus, which was phenomenal, changed my life, and that's where all the what we might call strength and depth of being able to face adversity head on. That's where that comes from. It's the faith in Jesus straight.
I mean, it's amazing, because I remember a story you told me, and I'm going to go back here, Moira, years ago up in Manchester. And I think Paul from the House on the Rock was there. We were at an event somewhere in Manchester. And I was talking to you about something, and somehow it came up, and you said, you know, they used to tell me that I couldn't do this. People used to actually tell you as a worship leader, you shouldn't be doing this. This isn't a thing that you should be doing. I mean, but you overcame that and you continued on, and of course proved everybody wrong. But I mean, in a way, you've had a lot of things knocking against you, but somehow it's like you just, I mean, I've seen you and worked with you, you shrug them off. I really am trying to get to the root of how can someone, because someone might have heard those words too, and heard, you know, I mean, you're not good enough to do this. Actually, why are you even doing this? Sit down and do something else. But what made you say, no, 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 I feel this is something that God wants me to do? Because this is the most important thing, really, isn't it? How would you say to someone to get to that place where you press through those comments, shall we say?
So I think the reality is all of us have adversity. Everyone, even the people, you know, a lot of us, we look at people other people will look at whether their money, their family connections, and think, oh, it's all right for them. But even them have their challenges. And for me, they seemed insurmountable. And I understand it, because if I was the devil, I would do the same. Because I'd be like, you know what, you're not going, you're going to preach the gospel, you crazy, I'm going to kill you.
Right, exactly.
And so for me, those hurdles, I think for anyone and for everyone who's going through the moment, and you'd find, for some people it's their job, for some people it's their relationship, for some people it's the children, some people it's their health. I think the first thing that happened for me was what was in my head and in my heart. And I tell you why I say that. It wasn't just being a mature person. It was someone who the word of truth had been imprinted in my heart. I remember.
I mean, did you know that God had asked you to do this? Like, you knew this is something I have to pursue, regardless of what people are saying.
No, I didn't. Well, I wouldn't say I knew leading worship, or I knew doing radio or doing television, that, you know, I was clear in my mind that this was God's call and I'm going to do it with that. What I knew was, whatever my hand found to do was to be faithful at it and to do it the best I could. And as I dealt with that sheep and the cattle in obscurity, faithfully, slowly, there was exposure to the possibility of greater heights. So for me, I think, apart from, because I think a lot of the times, it's interesting, a lot of times I talk to people and they say, oh, if God has called me to a global ministry. Yeah, it's cool, God has called you to a global ministry, but actually be faithful with that little assignment that you have in your house from your mom that you think is annoying you first.
That's right.
The global ministry is secondary. The primary ministry is be faithful with little, then you'll be trusted with much.
You know what? You're listening here to Muyiwa, and that's the key. Whatever you're given, even if you're standing at the doorkeeper of the house, do it with all your heart and just watch what God will do with your life. So, Muyiwa, you've done quite a lot of stuff in your life, and many people might be too young to know. They might be too young to know that you've had, I mean, 2002, the album Restoration, 2005, Declaring His Power. See, I'm doing well here. 2008, Declaring His Love. 2011, Declaring His Name Around the World. I like this. Declaring seems to be a feature word here. And then, of course, we've got a brand live at the Apollo in 2012, which I really want to talk about, because that was a very unusual thing for a worship leader to do, to go to the Apollo and sell out as well. I mean,
yeah, it was. I mean, it was funny because I remember being told by the aficionados, those who were
know
experts. I remember two of them calling me because I'd also decided we're going to go for a capacity of 5,000 people at the Apollo, as opposed to 3,000. And I remember two people calling, very concerned, and these are people who I knew very well, who were long in the teeth as far as gospel goes in the UK. They were real powerhouses who knew what was. And they said to me, I remember first it was a lady, she called and she says, listen, I admire your heart, but what if it doesn't work? And you know, and the reality is that's a question I'd ask myself. I wish I could say I was so full of faith. I was like, yes, God has asked us to do it, and God will do it, and God has done it. And it's, I mean, I believed God gave us the instructions to do it, but I had my moments where I was like, what are we doing? And I remember I would have meetings with the team, and I'll be like, guys, and they'll be like, no, it's all going to be okay. And I'll think, it's all right for you to say that. You're not the one paying the bills. The money's coming from my pocket. And that event cost just about £84,000.
Yeah, wow.
That it
Yeah.
that it
People don't
cost.
realize. They don't realize, do they? They
You
don't
know,
realize.
and it's not, that wasn't coming from a record company, or it was coming
But
from.
you sold out, Muyiwa.
Thank goodness we sold out. Imagine me going back home to my wife and say, sorry, all that money, sorry, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so it was a
Now,
painful.
can I ask, because I want to go there. I want to go there. What was the night like when you knew you'd sold out? You were going onto the stage in really, you'd taken over a secular arena, which is not a usual thing for a worship leader to do, but you brought the
Mhm.
light into a place. What was it like that night, knowing that God had been so faithful?
So I honestly, I can't say that I looking back, one of the things that I didn't do so well was enjoy the moment or be in the moment, and that's
Oh,
linked
right.
to my revelation of God and my faith in Him. Because the deeper we are in our faith in, the more we rest in Him. But there
Wow.
was still a lot of me wrestling with God in that. So the night itself, I tell you though, what happened. Usually when I'm doing events, is coming close to the time to go and say, I get very, how my nervousness manifests itself is I start feeling sleepy. So I'm feeling sleepy, and I lay down on my dressing room in the Apollo, and then I get a call. One of the guys come in and said, "Oh my goodness, you should check out the people outside." And I was thinking, leave me alone, Joe. I thought, because I thought, well, we're here now. I don't want to have to. And they said, no, these queues and queues outside. I was, okay. And then somebody else came in a while later and said, listen, you need to look outside. So I popped out of the dressing room from the side of stage. I picked out, and I saw floods of people. And I'm like, and the thing is, that moment is caught on tape because we do
Wow.
behind the scenes film. And you see me on the video going, oh my God, where did they all come from? Yeah. And at that point,
Oh,
if
that's so
anyone's
cool.
paying attention, they realize, okay, why did he say that? So he wasn't expecting anyone.
I mean, the thing is, you are walking in faith, aren't you? And you really don't know. So that's really interesting. You said that. You said you didn't enjoy the moment, and when you look back now, you could have enjoyed that night a lot better. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
could have enjoyed it a lot more, because here we are, the first time that something like that would happen. I mean, London Community Gospel Choir, they're a juggernaut, and they fill Royal Albert Hall all the time. But we're not London Community Gospel Choir, we're just a worship leader. And actually, it's been said that, listen, you need to have an American artist in there with you for it to work. And so here
Oh,
we
don't
are.
say that. Don't say that.
Here we are,
Yeah.
just UK artists, and it's just praise and worship, as they say, just praise and worship. Yet the place was rampant. And the thing, Madeleine, what was another incredible thing about it, we had people who were not Christians who were there. There was an artist, I forget his name now, who was due to play that venue a day after us. His audience were already queuing outside. And some of them were like, what's this? They bought tickets to come in. I had
Wow.
people who had worked with whilst I was at Sony Records. So I had people who were head of PR, head of marketing, and these people were not Christians. They all came, and they were up in the balcony, dancing their heads off,
That is
singing the praises
amazing.
of our God.
That is amazing. It's not only a delight, but it's also amazing to hear the story, the story behind all the things that are going on. But, we've got to a place, Moira, when, I mean, something new is on the horizon. It's brewing in the atmosphere, as they say. On the 6th of January, a brand new album called Glory Songs is about to be released. Now, we've heard the song Spirit of the Living God, and but you've got a new song out right now, isn't it, called Jehovah the Medley with Becca Folks. So please, let's unpack this, because I'm hoping that you're going to tell me that there's a live event coming as well. I hope I'm hearing, I hope I'm not just the Apollo 2012, but we're here in 2023. Moira, do you want to unpack what's about to happen in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the Jehovah Medley is the current single with Becca Folks, and then on the 1st of January 2023 we'll be releasing another single, Our God Is Good, and then the 6th of January will be the album itself, and the album features Jake Isaacs, it features Becca Folks, it features Graham Kendrick, we have Junior Gar on it, and the musicians and singers.
Okay, I have to ask you a question though. You said something very interesting. You said that the Jehovah Medley is released on the 25th of November. Now, you're the station director at Premier Gospel, so it's got to be pretty Christmassy because we're about to actually let you know that our Savior was born here on the radio station. So why release on the 25th of November?
Because my birthday is on the 26th.
Okay, that's a good enough excuse to even put your song in the midst of all the Christmas medleys. That's okay.
so I mean, I knew really in terms of radio play, that really only gives me like a week before Christmas songs
that's right
take over.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what?
I mean, can we actually say that it's kind of a Christmassy? It's talking about Jehovah.
Indeed.
We can make it work. And by the way, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on, everyone on there, go and give him a big shout out. Happy birthday, Moira. It's absolutely a delight. So, I mean, are you planning to go live? I mean, can we look out for you in the coming year?
Yes. So the 2023 is going to be a year of touring.
Oh, wonderful.
But the tour, I mean, for those who over the years have known River Songs, you know that typically we go into spaces like O2 Indigo 2, which was, I mean, we were the first ever
you sold out there
to sell out the Indigo 2, and so we'll go O2 Royal Festival Hall, or spaces like that is what we usually do. And I've decided with this one, I want to do the church. I want to go back into the churches. So I'll be doing a tour of churches over 2023 with the view of landing a London homecoming event, which will also be in a church. So look out for we're in River Songs in a church.
Where can they do this? Because I mean, I know people are listening and going, how do I get ahead of the queue? Is there a pre-save for the album, by the way? Can they get the album on a pre-save?
So there'll be the pre-sale for the album. That's, say, whichever platform you get it, you buy from, is a pre-sale. You can pre-order it, and actually it helps us if you pre-order it. And I have to say big thank you to everyone, because I understand this is not pop music. This is not hip hop music. This is God music. And if God people don't support God music, it doesn't go anywhere. So everyone that supports them and gets the single, thank you so much. God bless and keep us in your prayers. So you can pre-save it or pre-order it. And if you want to know about dates and times where we're going to be on tour, then you can either follow me on social medias, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and now on TikTok. I mean, they got me on TikTok. I
mean, TikTok's another level, isn't it? It's another level.
On TikTok. I said no for so long, and they just beat me into submission, because they said, listen, if you're going to learn from us, then listen to us, okay? So, but of course, you can also go on the website, which is muyiwa.co.uk. But yeah, if you missed any of that, just look for Muyiwa online and hit me with a message, or check Premier Radio, hit me with a message. We'll have all the dates as they come to share with you.
We are coming out of lockdown. It is strange, isn't it? Like just going around and realizing, because I think we've all had a bit of a trauma really, but we don't realize it. But what has God put on your heart, maybe for not just 2023, but what is on your heart right now that you would like to share with someone who's listening right now?
So to be honest with you, my conversations with God and my focus is being about my life as a husband and my life as a father. I don't really, I'm not waiting on God to hear a message for my generation or for the masses, and you know, I mean, being called to serve them, but my preoccupation at the moment is, how do I bring up these young men that I have care for, my 14-year-old, my 12-year-old, to know the Lord, so that as they grow older, they're not having to run from one prophetic convention to another to try and hear the voice of God. And so I landed in the book of Hebrews, that he that comes to God must first believe that he is first, and that he's a rewarder of those. So where I am now is on the street of believing that God is, and teaching my son that Yahweh is. Forget him being a rewarder. That's a part B. But first, know that you know that he is. He is the I am that I am. So that's where I am. And that's what I'll encourage anyone to, you know, it's easy to say, you know what, press into God, and your breakthrough is around the corner, and all the nice things we say, which have their place. I'm not saying they don't have their place, but actually, I want to challenge you to dare to believe that God is, even if there's no miracle, even if there is no breakthrough, even if there is no blessing that you're looking for. Can you still believe that he is?
Well, Muyiwa, it's a delight to have you here on Sing Out. It really has been. I think many people are going to be very inspired and very blessed by everything that you've said. But I want you to, listeners, listen, I want you to go and get this brand new album. You can go and pre-save it. It's on all platforms. But the new song that you've got coming out with Becca Folks, I'm going to go there because you have really chosen to work with the millennials. You know, you've chosen to be that. And I think this is where I really wanted to end. I know from my own age, it's amazing. God showed me that the bridge has got to be, you've got to take people with you. It isn't that you move away, but we have got experience that they don't have. We have seen things that they haven't seen, and we're able to hold their hand through certain situations. When you're working with the millennials, as we end up, we've got a brand new album coming out. I know there's a lot in store. What would be your advice to those that are starting out? You know, because when we're young, we're full of too much in it. We're full of us. We believe everybody
We
doesn't
knew
know
it all.
nothing. Yeah.
We knew it all. We knew it
We
all.
know everything. Yeah. What are these old people? They don't know anything, what's going on. But actually, they're, even it doesn't the Bible say the elders to teach the youngers and help them along the journey so that you don't have to suffer some of the things that we actually had to suffer.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you listen to conversations now, and artists, worship leaders, etc., the young ones, saying stuff as though they're the first one to experience it. The things people say now about award ceremonies, about support, about industry, about all that, it's stuff that was said before. So my thoughts and my admonishment to young artists, to young is, just be steadfast, be unmovable, abound in the work, be steadfast. Don't shirk on the job. Don't do it and then take your hands off. Be reliable, and be unmovable, because there'll be time and again, there'll be reason for you to give up. Whether people don't support, whether there's no money in it, whether someone said something to you, whether you look at your friends and they seem to be doing, there's always a reason for you to leave your post and say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not doing it again. But be unmovable and always abound in good works. And God, who is a faithful God, God of faithfulness without injustice, he will do what he promised he will do.
Thank you, Muyiwa. I mean, don't forget, you can pre-save his brand new album coming out on the 6th of January. You'll find him everywhere. Don't worry. Just put in Muyiwa and something will come up. Please follow it. Thank you so much for being on Sing Out. It's been a great honor to have you.
Thank you, Madeleine.
Thank you.